Let me tell you a story of something that actually happened to me. It was the last round of a rapid tournament. My opponent's point 7.5 out of 8. My points 7 out of 8. It was a must-win situation for me to claim the title of champion. She began the game with 1 d4 and we blitzed out the opening as we were very thorough with our opening prep. After an intense middle game, we simplified to a pawn endgame where I was clearly winning until boom, I blundered with a5 and she found the refutation and won the game. If you want to avoid such heartbreaking losses, you must study endgames. Quoting the great Frank Marshall, the hardest thing in chess is winning 1 games. And without any further ado, let the learning begin. My name is Ishan and today we're going to look at some pawn endgames. By the way, if you have any confusion about the terminology I use, check out the playlist here. As you can see on the screen, this was exactly the game after my opponent played king f1 in the game mentioned before. So I am black and I played rook g4, logically trading off into a pawn endgame. She took. If you play rook a6, then rook h4 is a simple loss because I have 2 connected passed pawns. So rook into g4 was played, and after h into g4, king g2, I found the nice move g5. If you play king f6, then after king g3, there is still the only way to win is g5. If you play king f5, however, then it's bad because he manages to draw with e4 check. After king into e4, king into g4, both pawns will queen at the same time, so there's no point. So we go back. After g5, there are a lot of options here. White can try h into g5, he can try king g3. If you play h into g5, then king g6, king g3, king into g5 is a simple win. And if you play king g3, then after king g6, king g4, g into h4, king into h4, king f5, king g3 the only move to defend the pawn, king e4, king f2. Black has the good move a5. The point being that after king e2, a4, a3 and now e6, white will be forced into zugzwang because after king d2, king f3, king d3, e5, white has no choice but to go king d2, when after e4, black wins. So white's only try remaining is h5, which was played in the game. I played king g7, which is again a very logical move. She played king g3, and here the moment of the sorrowful blunder. In the game, I blundered with a5, which led to king into g4, king h6, e4. And the point is, after all the pawn moves run out, it is my turn to move, which means I will be in zugzwang. Let's see how that works. a4, e5, a3, e6, and it's my turn. So what should I do? I have to retreat, and I resigned here. The correct move was king h7. Does this ring a bell? As we had seen in the last video, in the Alekhine versus Yates example, there was a similar waiting move with king f2 where the opponent didn't have an option but to go on the mine square. So in this case, the mine squares are g4 and h6. So if I had played this, she would have to play king g4 and then after king h6, e4, a5. Now as you can see, it's going to be her turn to play at the end. a4 and e5. It looks like I'm winning, but that's not all. There's a little bit more left. because after king f5, king h5, king e5, g4, king f4, king h4, it looks like both pawns will queen at the same time. But there's a catch. After both the pawns queen, we can win by force. Check, king moves, check. And that there is one nasty skewer. Pretty brilliant. Now we will look at another case of triangulation. Like we had seen in the last video, triangulation refers to a maneuver which loses a move, leaving the opponent with the move. In this position, if it were black to play, white would win easily, as we'll see. So, how to reach that position? Pause the video, take a look at the position and try to find the answer. The correct move is king e5. As long as the concept is to make a triangle, there are a lot of different moves you can try. After c6, king c6, king d4, king d7, king d5, you can just see the triangle that white has made. We reach the same position, but now it's black to play, which means white can win easily. After any move black makes, let's say king d8, then white can play king d6, king c8, king e7, king b8, king d7, king a8, and now not king c7, which would be a blunder due to stalemate, but c6. After bc6, the fastest way to win is king c7. Going back, black can also try king e8 when after c6, bc6, king c6, white simply wins. And if he tries king c8, then again king e6, maintaining the opposition, king d8, king d6, king c8, king e7, outflanking, king b8, king d7, king a8, c6, bc6, king c7. A simple win. On the first move, if you tried once c6, I'm afraid you're wrong, because black has the brilliant defense king c8. Obviously b into c6 doesn't work because of king c5, when after king d8, king d6 to maintain the opposition, c5, or if you play king c8, then king c6 is the simple win, c5 and b7. So instead black can play king c8 when after king d6, king b8 and king d7, now he can take the pawn with bc6 when after king c6, king c8. It's a well-known draw. So this position is also very important in terms of triangulation, because you had to find the idea of losing a move and only then trying to make real progress. This next example is a very famous one, and again, if you try to make progress directly with king d6 or king c5, black can easily shoulder you. For example, if you play king d6, then just king d8, no progress. If king c5 trying to go after b6, then king c7, no progress. So what is one to do? Well, you must have realized that d8 and d6, c7 and c5, these squares have some relation. When the kings are on these squares, whoever side it is to move is actually the worst side, meaning it's just a fancy definition of zugzwang. So if white is to play with the kings on d6 and d8, then white is in zugzwang, which means he will have to retreat, and black can again play king c8 and hope for a repetition. So again, the topic is triangulation, so we will have to find a way to lose a move. You must have noticed that white's king has a lot more room than the black one, so it's not very easy for black to cope up with all our movements. The correct answer in this position is king c4. You can also play king d4 with the same idea. King c4, king d8, and now king d4. Ideally, black would love to wait with king d7, when after we play king d5, he can go back king c8. But that's not the case. He has to go back to c8. Because if he plays king c5, king c7, then we can play king c5 and control the b6 square. So he has to go back king c8 and now king d5. So you can just see the triangle we've made again. You can also do it in another way. You can play king d4 first, when after king d8, king c4, king c8, king d5, we have made this triangle. It doesn't matter which triangle you make. The point is to make a triangle and lose a move. So after all this has been done, black can play king d8 or king c7, both of which have an easy refutation. If he plays king d8, then king d6, king c8, c7, king b7, king d7 is an easy win. And if he plays king to c7, then white can play king c5, and after king c8, king b6, it's a simple win. I hope this is clear. Let's move on. This next position is going to be the puzzle for this video. In fact, there are two answers to this puzzle. I don't expect you to find both. If you find even one, all is good, because that's all you need to win in a game. So good luck. Please try to solve it here itself so that you will get the most benefit out of this video. Let's move on. Now for the answer of the last video's puzzle. As you can see, we were in check and there were 3 moves. So by elimination technique, we can see that g4 obviously doesn't have a say in the matter, because after king f5, white wins the game. King h4 and now h into g4. So white wins the pawn by force due to any king move and king g6. Since white is a pawn up and a bishop up, he wins. So g4 is not the correct move. What else? I know it's very tempting to play king h4 and try to attack the h3 pawn. But if you play king h4, then I can give it to you as a white to play puzzle. Pause the video and try to find the best move for white. I hope you've paused the video. The correct move is bishop g4. The point being, after let's say h5, the only logical try, because if you play king g3, then just king f5, king h4 and king g6 wins the pawn. Because now if you play h5, then we play king f5 with a similar idea as in the game of takes and black is in zugzwang. The same thing happens if black plays directly h5. We play king f5, sacrificing the bishop, but it's for a noble cause, because after h into g4, black has nothing better than to resign. That's it for today. I hope you liked this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe so I can make more content like this. And till then, see you in the next video. Bye.